U.S. was found at one point to be paying $800 per stapler.
For a stapler?
It's not unheard of in the government sector of little mistakes like that happening, but the business case should say, it should be a due diligence to say, are we actually spending this money the right way?
Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Corporate Show with your host, me, Manjit Nija. And this week, he's back. David Smallwood is back. Hi, David.
Hello.
You're a regular now. We just should have a chat show of our own. What do you reckon?
Yes, sounds good.
We could talk to the cows come home, you and I. However, this week we are going to talk about better business cases. Some of you may have heard of business cases. Some of you may be completely new to them. Those of us who have been kind of like around the block when it comes to working in a corporate environment, we're kind of used to business cases. David, can you explain what a business case is, please, to those people who've not come across it before?
Yeah, no problem. The easiest definition of a business case is a document which states why something is justified to continue forward. So if you want to go buy a new software kit for the company, business case will state in basic terms why you need to go buy it, why is it needed, how is it aligned to our strategy, what's it going to cost, what are we going to get back for buying it. So it justifies your spending.
So it's a business tool in a sense, isn't it, really?
Correct. Yeah.
Could you apply the same tool to home? You
could. So my parents used to do that to me when I was a kid and I asked for money. Yeah, they would go, and why do you need $20? Because I want to go out with my friends. When are we going to get our money back? What is the purpose? Blah, 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 blah. So I'd have to fully explain why I needed $20 and why I wanted to go with my friends ice skating or go watch a movie or whatever I wanted to do. And then I had to give them a definitive, this is how much it's costing you, $20. And when are they going to get their money back? And what they get for their money.
I was just about to say, were they asking for value on their investment? And return on their investment as well?
Yeah, so they not only did they want their money back, but they usually threw me under the bus for some chores. Or, yeah, sure, no problem. Not only are you giving us the $20 back, but you're going to also have to do A, B, C, and D. It's like, oh, man, that's more than the $20 yet, but you want it, so.
You're not the only parent who does that, you know, because my business mentor, Suki Vahiwala, his children, when they want something, he's exactly the same. Give me a business case, the benefits, and so on and so on. I think it's good to get children involved in that right from an early age, so that when they enter the corporate world, you know, they're more prepared about what's coming their way. So going back to business cases in the corporate world then, what benefits is there of having a business case rather than just going out and purchasing stuff, whatever that might, it could be something simple as a pen, right? Or, you know, some big new system, or remember when iPads first came out, all of a sudden everybody seemed to need an iPad. So what's the point of a business case?
Okay, so you've done governance.
Yes.
Imagine you're in an organization where everybody gets to go spend their money however they want without checking first.
Yeah, not good.
No.
Not good.
It's funny you brought up the pen because I could go buy, and this actually happened with government, US. The US was found at one point to be paying $800 per stapler.
For a stapler?
For a stapler, yeah.
Good Lord.
So it's not unheard of in the government sector of little mistakes like that happening, but the business case should say, it should be a due diligence to say, are we actually spending this money the right way? Should we, because if your public sector is public funding, if it's a private company, then it's somebody's dividends really you're spending. And in charities, it's charitable funds. So are we spending this money in the most appropriate way? are we looking at all the different options? So in the business case, it will carry what we call options. The first one is what we call do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to do nothing.
Mm.
Do something, do everything. And it would be like, new regulation comes out. We need to put this, we need to spend 100 grand on our systems to be able to make sure they are compliant with the new data protection rules.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what the defaults always do nothing. What happens if we do nothing? We're going to get fined a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's not a good option. So let's look at the other options. We can spend 100 grand and it does what we need, or we can spend $1 million and go full nuclear and make it pretty.
Uh-huh.
Do we get any additional benefits for the $1 million? Not really. Right, 100 grand. That's justified.
Mm-hmm.
If we were to look at a business case and I asked you the question, what would happen if we did do nothing, and you went nothing, we'd be fine, then there's no business case. There's no business case for me to spend that money.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about organizations, if you look at a lot of their business cases tend to be a document that is used to justify why somebody's pet project should get started. You know, why I've got this great idea, make the business case look good so I can kick off my idea.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been this behavior in our industry since, well, forever, but really bad after 2008, because companies have tried to clamp down on spending money. So what's happened in the behaviors is, just make the business case look good. So it shows that we should go off and do something.
Yeah.
The problem with that is the business case, therefore, is not worth anything as far.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look at it and it says, these are the costs to do this. These are the benefits we'll get at the end. And a lot of times the costs aren't correct.
Yeah.
And the benefits are overinflated to get the project started. And so the business case disappears somewhere early in the project.
Which it shouldn't. It should grow with the project.
Correct. As the project evolves, the business case evolves.
Yeah.
That way we can use it at the very end to say, right, Manji, here's your business case. What's changed? Okay, great. So this is why you did this. This is why those benefits have increased. This is why those decreased. And this is why costs went up. Absolutely fine. It's evolved. But you don't always see that. In fact, the majority of the time you see the business case disappear altogether.
Yeah, the way I look at it is, before the project is actually kicked off, the business case is put together. Okay. And there's two elements to a business case. 50% of it is logical, which is gathering all the facts and figures and so on and so forth. And the other 50% is emotional, is me getting you to care about what I want, which is on that piece of paper. Now, a piece of paper is just a piece of paper, but it's me then talking to you, explaining it to you, making sure you understand it and so on. That, actually, this is something that as an organization we do need. You can feel the pull, the emotional pull towards it. Not just that it should be, it's a nice thing to do. No, there's got to be benefits, which actually leads back to another episode that I did with yourself, which was managing benefits. So there's got to be the benefits realization coming through with this particular business case, whatever it might be for a new system. If you think, actually, let's go back to the Olympics. When we had the Olympics in 2012 in the UK, there would have been a business case. We won the Olympics, and then it was like, oh, damn, now we've got to put this together. Now we've got to make it work. And the budget was astronomical, but even that wasn't enough. What's your opinion on that kind of business case?
So the interesting thing about that specific project was that the options to carry out the stadium, so for the Olympic Stadium, there's a lot of different designs, a lot of different options.
Yeah.
And they didn't actually use the rules of business cases effectively. So the Treasury Department actually wrote the rule book. Okay, so the Treasury Department wrote the rule book. You can actually download the guides to business cases from the Treasury Department. When I look at the business cases stuff that was done on that, they didn't really think of the options very clearly. So it's like, oh, let's just go with that design. It's cheaper. The problem with that is they didn't think about the whole picture. So what was the stadium going to be used like after the fact? What would we have to do?
Yeah.
And there was another design that was on the table that they just got rid of because it was more expensive, but it allowed for repurposing of the stadium after the fact. So we're too quick to, and I think one of the problems is kind of thinking about it is, you know, if let's just say that you were going to go shopping. Today was your birthday. You were going to go shopping. You've got your credit card and your partner's credit card, right? So if your partner says, yeah, go buy some stuff, here's the credit card, and he gives you his credit card, do you think you would spend more or less on his credit card?
Probably more.
Right. And you would, because it's not technically your money.
Yeah.
So you take that idea and put it into an organization. There seems to be this weird thought process of, that's not my money, so I can spend it. And because it's not my money, it's the organization's, I can kind of add more time and more features and more stuff to this because it's shiny, it's cool.
Yeah.
Now, if we could get people to realize that that money, they're still impacted by that money. You spend too much, people lose their jobs. It's a big, huge circle. So things like asking no appropriate questions in a business case. So that would be me saying to you, Manjeet, if half of this 10 million came out of your budget, would you still think it's worth 10 million to spend on this project? Oh, hold on.
Yeah, exactly. I'd have to that's a lot of money. Let me just think about that. I think one of the other things that gets lost in all of this as well is that we have the initial layout. This is what it's going to cost you to get it done. But then people tend to forget about the operational cost of keeping everything going. So like you quite clearly said about the Olympics, that there was the initial cost of setting this stadium up, but nobody actually thought about what's going to happen with the stadium afterwards. How are we going to keep it going? Because there's got to be the upkeep, how we're going to utilize it, and so on and so forth. And it's the same in any business. You've got to look at, okay, it's going to cost me 10 million for argument's sake to get it out there, to get it up and running, get my customers in. But how much is it going to really cost me to make sure once it's in, I've got the support structure to keep it not only keep it going, but to evolve it over time as well.
Yeah, I think it's also, so you were talking about cost. So in the Treasury, they say that on average for projects, large projects in the public sector, it's about 50K that it costs to do a business case and get it through. So 50,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So if it costs, because of resources, time and everything, 50,000 pounds to do a business case, and we know a large percent of them are not worth the paper they're written on.
Yeah.
It's a large amount of money. Now, take that to private companies, because people write business cases all the time and they don't think it costs money. If you were to add up all the money in private companies, how much it costs to write business cases that are not worth the paper it's written on, you probably have a large sum of money in each of these companies that is basically just burned.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because people don't think about the amount of time and effort it takes to put these things together. So if you think about the number of these business cases, first of all, somebody's putting them together, all the resource it takes to pull all the information together to put that business case together. And then, let's say I put my business case together and I send it to you. It's your time, your effort in getting your grip, getting your head around that, making those decisions, maybe calling in other people as well to see if that's actually worth doing or not.
I remember going into a company and we were having a look at their business cases and the maturity when it comes to them. And what was quite interesting is they showed me, so I looked at a series of, well, I looked at a whole bunch of projects, but there was 4 in particular. And I looked at the business case, and the business case was a variation between all 4. So in other words, we did a business case for a project, kicked it off. The project wasn't a good idea to start with. It failed. So what we did was take that business case, adjust it a bit, to basically run the same project, which it was, with just new terminology. And they did this for 4 projects in a row, which all failed. And they were like, what do you think of those business cases? I was like, I don't. The business case is fundamentally flawed to beginning with, and your project ultimately failed. So it is a true fact and statistical analysis that says that most projects are doomed for failure from direct relationship to the business case.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have a poor business case, your project's doomed.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is why
of the organization, really, is it?
No. I guess the question is why do organizations keep doing it?
Yeah. So why do they keep doing it, in your opinion?
I don't think a lot of organizations know how to write proper business cases. They don't always know what a business case is for. And I think that there isn't always the standards for business cases in companies, at least from what I've seen.
So that's a good reason to get people on this course then, isn't it, really? So that people really understand what business cases are all about. Yeah.
And put in a standard and expectation in their organization so they're not burning money.
Yeah. Having a framework in place so that you're actually, as you said, not burning money, you're actually making money.
Yeah. I have this weird thought process in my head about standardization, that if you can standardize things in organizations or make them better, then the last thing so I come from a lean mentality. So redundancies are the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
So if organizations spend a lot of time looking internally and saying, let's fix these things, then they would be less apt to going, right, how do we save some money? Let's just get rid of these people and we'll increase productivity by other people. So I have this weird thing in my head that if we can get things right, business cases, benefits, standardization, if organizations could do these things which make sense, then we're actually saving people's jobs and allowing the organization to grow and to better utilize their resources. Which again comes down to the fundamental purpose also of a business case is to justify why we're spending money and to better utilize those resources.
It makes complete sense. It just makes complete sense to me because, my dad ran his own businesses he's retired now, he's in his 80s. He used to work for Ford back in the 70s and 80s and so on. And he was made redundant, pot of money, bought a business, and built it up from nothing. Then he bought another business and built that up for nothing, which was in the family for 20, 30 years. One of the things that I learned from my dad was no matter if you're working for yourself, like myself and yourself, or if you're working for another organization, when you and I both work for other training organizations and our roles that we'd carried out previously. So me as a service manager of EasyNet, TeleWest and so on, is to treat the money that's there. So anything that I'm utilizing there is money, essentially. Anything, be it a pen, paper, whatever that might be, it's money. So I think of that as if it's coming out my own pocket. As soon as you start thinking that, actually, do you know what? This is going to actually impact me getting a bonus, our organization growing, me getting a pay rise, a Christmas party or whatever. You start to think differently rather than thinking, okay, this is where I go to work and it's my right to have a pay rise. It's my right to have this. It's my right. It's not your right to have anything. If the finances aren't there, nothing's going to change. Everything will remain exactly as it is. You will not get the luxuries, the benefits, and pay rises are not, they are benefits these days because of the state of the economy, especially with everything that's happened with COVID and so on. So it's going to be drastic changes with all of that coming on board.
And I think that's also, you brought up a good point, COVID and Brexit. Brexit's the end of this year. So not only public sector, but private companies are going to be really looking at, should we spend this money? Why are we going to spend our money running in that project, which makes no sense, when we can actually take this money and increase the capabilities, send that team to training, get us an agile coach in the business that can help us implement agile better and more effectively. You know, all these things to increase the capability of organization. So these things are going to become more and more prevalent with all of the things like COVID, Brexit, and these impacts on our businesses.
So we've got to get better at having better business cases. So going back to the course itself, how long is the course?
So the course is 5 days. Similar structure to managing benefits because they're kind of intertwined. Yeah. But you have the 2-day foundation, 3-day practitioner.
And the benefits, I mean, we've talked about the benefits, but just to reiterate what the benefits are to the individual and to the organization.
So the individual gets to understand and know the governmental standard or the treasury standard for writing business cases, which actually for an individual is in high demand right now because the amount of people that can actually write good business cases isn't that high. So if you look at some of the job profiles for business analysts and project managers, it's the ability to write effective business cases. Now, if you look at an organization, it gives people the knowledge to be able to utilize and to be able to understand what is a good business case and what isn't. And that means the organization has the ability, if they listen, to increase their maturity in these subjects.
So what would be your top 3 tips for writing better business cases?
Be realistic.
Yeah.
So be realistic with your costs, your timeline, including your benefits. Too often a project manager or program manager is told, make something fit. If you know that this project's going to take you 18 months, but you've been given 12 months and told 12 months in a business case, there's no point in lying. Yeah. Because you failed. You failed that. Not you, but the project's failed at that point. Don't fluff up a business case with benefits to make it look better because you wouldn't do that if it was your own money. So be realistic. 2, provide the correct and relevant and up-to-date information in a business case to allow for effective decision making. Number 3, keep a hold of the business case and adjust it as you go through the project so it's always on point. Don't make it disappear because it was falsified at the very beginning. Yeah. Those are my biggest bugbears. So
you are always on point, can I say? All of our conversations are very interactive. They're very enlightening. And hopefully everybody's learning a lot from the whole of the corporate show. You know, it's been going for, this is a while now. 14, 15 weeks now.
Yeah, it's been going for a while now.
So thank you very much. That means a lot. Thank you. So thank you again for joining me, David. I really appreciate it. I know we're going to be seeing you again soon. We've got another 2 topics which you've kindly said you'll come in and talk to us about. So I will see you very, very shortly.
Thank you again for having me.
Thank you everybody for watching, and remember to like, subscribe and share, and remember to hit the bell icon. The most important thing though is to share. That's what I would ask you to do, is share all of this information with anybody you think who, you know, may find this useful. So I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.